In its desperation to cover up the truth, the Justin Trudeau government banned a media outlet in Australia that aired the press conference of Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and his Australian counterpart Penny Wong. Australia Today, the platform that was blacked out, released a statement saying they will continue to voice important stories and fight for press freedom. Joining me on Global Mirror today is the founder and editor-in-chief of Australia Today, Jitharth J. Bhardwaj. Mr. Bhardwaj, thank you very much for speaking with us on Global Mirror. My first question to you, we've seen the statement that has been released by Australia Today. Your first thoughts, what was your first reaction when you got to know that Australia Today has been banned by the Canadian government?
It felt like unreal. We haven't been in this situation ever before. I mean, Western democracies don't really do the way Canadian government has behaved this time around, banning a news outlet's social media account just because they didn't like what we were broadcasting. I mean, there is space always for diverse views. Even though how much critical they can be, there are all political spectrums in Western societies. As I understand in Australia, we are very open for criticism and critique by press. However, what we broadcasted was not even closer to criticism of what Canadian government is doing. It was a comment by a Foreign Minister of Australia and Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar, simply as that. Still, they got upset about our broadcast. I am not sure what caused them to react the way they reacted.
Mr. Bhardwaj, did the Canadian government give you any specific reason why they have blacked out, why they have banned Australia Today?
Not at all, nothing. I mean, all of a sudden, we were notified by our followers and readers and viewers who follow us on social media. And one of them wrote to me that I shared XYZ content to my friend, and now they are not able to open. I said, let me check. And we checked, everything was okay from our end. And I said, can you try again, refresh your browser or something? And I contacted a few other people who I know in Canada, and they were also not able to see the content. And it was simply written at the bottom that this content is not available in Canada because of the orders of Canadian government legislation. So whatever made them to do that is right in front of us.
And has the Australian government said anything to you? Has there been any response? The Canadian government clearly has not given you any sort of communication regarding why they have blacked Australia Today out, but anything from the Australian government on this move?
As of now, whole process or event has nothing to do with the Australian government, so they haven't reacted to it. But yes, I'm talking to my media colleagues about this, that this kind of censorship, banning, restriction of content should not be tolerated by Australian press as a whole.
Mr. Bhardwaj, how surprised were you? How shocked were you? What was your reaction that this move came in from a country and from a government of Justin Trudeau that calls itself the champion of freedom of speech and freedom of expression when it comes to justifying the actions and the words of Khalistani elements, something that India has time and again reiterated has been a great concern for all of us here. But how surprised were you when this came in from the Justin Trudeau government, freedom of speech clearly being curtailed?
See, the recent experience of how Canadian government has been behaving is sometimes they behave autocratically in certain issues. And in certain issues, they seem to be very tolerating whatever, even though most of us think and perceive the X have crossed the line of tolerance of Western democracies. Still, they let it happen or let it pass. So governments have that power to do that. And right now, under Justin Trudeau, I suppose he's very partisan when things are done in terms of Khalistan. If you want to point out one issue, see, remember a year and a half, 2 years back, when a Truckee movement was happening against Justin Trudeau's government, he clamped down on them. There was no freedom of speech for them. He blocked their bank accounts even, and it was massive crackdown. So right now, if you say a Khalistan supporter, Sikh for Justice people, or likes of Nijjars and others who are there, they threaten Indian officials and Hindu Canadians. I mean, your Canadian government is responsible for the safety, security, and well-being of Canadian Hindus, which they are not even caring about. So in that way, I'm not surprised if they stoop to solo of banning Australia Today, a media outlet, curtailing the freedom of press.
Also help me understand, Australia, just like Canada, has a large Indian diaspora as well. What's the general sentiment regarding Khalistani elements? Sometime back, there was a Khalistani referendum as well, which failed in Australia. Now, with the kind of strained and completely destroyed, completely damaged relationship that India and Canada are witnessing, what is the general sentiment among the Indian diaspora in Australia?
See, Australia has a very close relationship with Canada, and if I can say, Indian Australians and Indian Canadians are also very close-knit community. There are a lot of relatives. I can tell you, in my friendship circle, if there are 10 brothers and sisters who are living in Australia, then their siblings might be living in Canada, or other relatives are living in Canada. So they are very concerned, the kind of scenes they see on social media. People are being beaten up, abused, going to Gurdwara. If somebody is going to Gurdwara and they don't subscribe to Khalistan propagations, they are being abused openly. And this really... now it has stopped surprising. Now people are scared of this, and Canadian government is responsible so that every faith, be it Hinduism or Sikhism or any other, they should be able to go to their places of worship without fear and favor. And that is not happening. I mean, I can tell you, we have complained to Canadian government about this. We have reported it to Australian Federal Police also. Me and my team, their photographs were put on a video by Gurpat Singh Panu, and they made gestures like this and told in Punjabi to their supporters, fix these people, see what you can do. I mean, if Canadian government doesn't really understand what it means, then what a shame. If reporters are threatened the way they are by people who are being protected by Canadian governments, then yes, I have nothing more to say.
All right. My last question to you, Mr. Bhardwaj, what is going to be your next step now? Australia Today has been banned by the Canadian government of Justin Trudeau. What do you plan to do next regarding Australia Today and the kind of curtailment and, strangling of press freedom that the Canadian government has done?
See, we have written to Canadian government already, to their Department of Communication, which looks after media and press, about this unprecedented ban on our social media. However, we will not stop. We will raise all the issues which are important to Indian diaspora, be it in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, UK, or USA. We will be their voice. These called communities, these multicultural communities in a Western world are at times ignored. Their issues are ignored by mainstream media, and we fulfill their aspirations to come out and say what is their mind saying. I mean, their issues are brushed under the carpet saying, oh, they are community issues. They are not. They have a wider impact on the wider communities of these countries and well-being of course, Canadian citizens. How can they ignore it? And we vouch that we will bring these stories without fear of whatever ban restriction these people are trying to put on us.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Mr. Jithat Bhardwaj, for speaking with us on Global Mirror. More power to you and more power to media across the world. Thank you very much for speaking with us on Global Mirror tonight.